Welcome back to Dive Twang. I'm Dave. So I wanted to do something this week with you all. Some of you may have heard about what happened to our dog this past weekend on Sunday. She got hit by an ATV, a four-wheeler, out here on the road. We live out in the country, and it was really bad. And she's going to make it. We're going to get her tomorrow from the University of Missouri Orthopedic Surgery Department, which is up in Columbia, Missouri. We live down in the southwest part in a little tiny town of like 700 people. And so there wasn't anybody down here that could do something like this. But there's a teaching surgery college there where they let advanced students, with a certified surgeon, um, you know, do these surgeries, and it's a really cool program. I've heard about it. It's pretty well known, actually, around here. And we've had so much support from people, our family, our friends, and a lot of people on Dow Twang, and I, it, I'm just my heart is melted, really, um, with the amount of support that we've gotten. It's amazing, and it's wonderful. And she's going to make it. She had the surgery yesterday. We're going up to get her tomorrow. So for the next few weeks, there's going to be a playpen like right here next to me with this little. She weighs 14 pounds. If you haven't seen her, her name's Sunny. On the videos, I usually call her the burglar. Her real name is Sunny. Um, she'll be right here because she's not allowed to run around and play with the other dogs and stuff right now. And so you'll be seeing her. I'm gonna have to babysit like pretty much all day while we're here doing lessons and videos. So we're just very blessed to have all the support and to have things work out the way that it looks like they will for her, and she'll have a good life, a life worth living. And we just weren't that we just didn't know what was going to happen. But things have a lot of good things have converged, and she's going to have I think, a pain-free, limited life, but not be in pain and be able to live and love. And man, she's good at it. So thanks for everybody that's reached out to us and supported us on this. And those of you that haven't met Sunny, you will, because she's going to be right in the middle of our business for a while. So I did want to do something. I haven't done hardly any lessons this week. We've been driving back and forth. This is like 3.5 hours away, this university that I'm talking about. It's been a lot, and a lot of phone calls and not wanting to tie up the phone and the computer and waiting for doctors to call us back and all this stuff. So did couple of lessons today. Last week, I did a lesson with a friend that's also a student that had just seen Samantha Fish, and his name's Mike. Mike, you can jump in here in the comments and introduce yourself. I don't name everybody, because you know in the videos and stuff usually, but first name's Mike. And man, what a cool song, and what a great guitar player, this Samantha Fish. I'm not that familiar with her. I know who she is, but I really honestly have not listened to her much. And I am now. So we kind of picked out this one outro jam to this song called Dream Girl. And the chords are C, G minor, D minor, C. Now, I'm giving it a little bit of a Dow Twang vibe there, whatever. I haven't listened to the songs for a couple of days, but I know those are the chords. So I'm kind of doing my own thing and fitting some of the things that I, typically do in this style into this chord progression. And it's a really cool chord progression. So I thought I'd just take you through that. Honestly, I don't have a big prepared thing this week. But it's just it feels good to get in here and work with you all and kind of do some normal stuff because it's been really stressful. So I thought, now my sound was a lot dirtier in that intro. This is a fun one to really, soup up your sound and have some fun with it. So if you make a loop of the chords and then just put some distortion on there, and I rarely do that in the videos, but this one just needed it. So nothing too flashy in that intro, right? I kind of kept it at an even pace so we can really look at a few of these moves. Here's the loop. So it starts on C and it ends on C. So D minor 7. So the first thing I'm doing is it's that C major pentatonic. So that's more my style, right, than hers. But that's, that's what I teach a lot. So let's take a look at this because, yeah, we could just say, oh, we're just using that, that box, and that's cool. But there are some chord tone, little things happening in there too. The C. There's the C, the root. There's the third, the major third of the C major. Right? And then when it goes, I really like that D. That's the fifth of the G minor. Right? I'm just playing it up here. And you can just still put that bend and like everything's still in that box, I'm going to go to that D minor, or D minor 7, playing that A. That's the fifth of the D minor, right? And it's still all pivoting around that C though, right? So that's just a good little routine right there. Just see where we at here. You don't have to wait. I was just and then just kind of land it on that C. Octave higher. Right? What a nice bunch of chord changes. So, warm up, or just for some folks, that's going to be the lesson right there, right? That just get in there and just work that every way you can come up with to, don't stress it too much about the chord tones. It's almost an intuitive thing, but it's once you realize that, oh yeah, that's in that chord, then you tend to like emphasize it more and make more out of it, right? The point of this method is not to always be analyzing every single thing we do, but to like be aware of it so that it has more, it's more deliberate, right? And we put more into it. We make it matter. It adds some meaning to it. But the sound is the main thing. Then the other thing I wanted to add was, some other kind of material that has to do with like relative major and minor. Okay, so of course this looks like that, C or A minor. Okay, and if you're whatever your understanding is of relative major and minor, it's okay right here. We're just going to kind of use it. There's other videos and lessons, and we'll talk again about like what that really means diatonically and so forth. But you don't have to think about all that to use it. So, just like this major pentatonic for C, if you bracket it with a C at the top and the bottom, is the same notes as A minor. If I bracketed it with A's at the okay, so those things are, uh, for pretty obvious reasons, are going to be sort of swappable, right? So you can think of it that way. You might think, well, what's the difference? I mean, why would I want to think of two things that are the same? Just because the shaping of it you might end up playing some different chord extensions and hip notes just by doing that simple, accounting for that in that simple way. And here's another example of it. So with the C, I just kind of look at it as the C major. That's kind of all you need to do with that, honestly. But when we go to this, what's the relative major of G minor? It's B flat. Now, I played a few licks in here that were distinctly the B flat triad, not the G minor. And it sounded cool, I thought. Here's an example. Okay, we're going to talk about this in just a second. That's kind of my routine, right? That probably sounds familiar if you watch this channel, right? That's my neighborhood. That's my thing. A lot of times, and so I use that framework, and then I stylize it with a lot of bends and pre-bending and different things. But this progression is a nice way to demonstrate that way of that game plan. So C, still just using that major pentatonic box, but I did put that F natural in there. Sorry, it kind of jammed up there for a second. Then over the G minor, now that's just straight up swapping out that relative major B flat for that G minor. I could come down and do a minor pentatonic over the G. Right, but guess what? Just like we said about the C and the A minor, the B flat and the G minor are the same pentatonic notes. Okay, so again, don't overthink that, but putting that triad in there is a way to access extended sounds that sound cool over that, instead of just jumping down and playing like a root third fifth of addressing the chord tone over its original respective chord. That makes sense. It's not a big deal, but you just want to experiment with that. It won't work in every situation the same way, but I mean, it's pretty versatile. Okay. And then it happens again. And Mike, instantly pointed out, well, that's like an F. And we saw that Samantha was using little f voicing over that D minor 7. Of course, the relative minor of that F. So see, when I go through this progression now, I'm going C, G minor, but it's kind of like I'm going C, B flat, F, right? Those aren't the chords. The chords are C, G minor, D minor 7. But because we're playing it with that parallel, or that, what do we call that? That, yeah, parallel in a sense, right? That, like, in a sort of one, kind of a diatonic, sort of concentric, level layer of the onion. We call those extensions. And it just sounds different, right? It's just a different flavor. You mix that in with just your, kind of, southern rock, kind of, centered around that C major pentatonic, and you're good to go. And you do that in a few different places. The higher licks I did were just, um, you know, versions of this same business up here in a different register. So, um, I don't know if I need you. Leave me some comments. If you need this loop, I can easily put an MP3 up there. But also get in the habit of making your own loops, right? That's going to help you create your own style and your own feel faster because it's you, right? And it comes off differently, and you navigate a little bit differently when you make it yourself. So this was a real kind of in the moment kind of video. Let me know what you think about it. I liked it. I feel like I'm not kind of overthinking the topic so much today, right? I'm just kind of like, hey, here's how we can jam over these cool chords, right? And gain some appreciation for Samantha Fish, who is really killing it out there. It's pretty cool if you haven't checked her out. Thanks to Mike. Look for him in the comments. I'll see you next week.